Yeah, that's 5 after.
Look, I'll let time you.
Okay. Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Sparta Township Planning Board. I'd like to call this meeting to order. For the record, this meeting is being held on July 19th, 2023 at 7:06 PM at the Sparta Township Municipal Building located at 65 Main Street, Sparta, New Jersey. And a live stream can be viewed on YouTube at www.youtube.com/@SpartaTWP. Please note that adequate public notice of this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Let's begin with a salute to our flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dory, if you wouldn't mind, please call the roll.
Councilman Dean Blumetti.
Here.
Jeanette Burke.
Here.
Vice Chairman Ronday.
Here.
Christine Dunbar. Bill Enright.
Here.
Justin Canellis.
Here.
Angela Cassie.
Here.
Chairwoman Celeste Luciano.
Here.
Ernest Reichstad.
Here.
Peter Ski. And Mike Sylvester.
Here.
It's okay. Okay, so tonight we have several items on the agenda, resolutions including Sussex County Technical School, Sparta High School, both for capital improvement plans with, excuse me, for their solar. PB application number 706 Delmar Woodport Road, PB 705 370 Lafayette, excuse me, 370 and 376 Lafayette Road. We also have a public hearing, PB application number 699. I'd like that to be noted that that has been carried to the August 2nd meeting.
Right, and on that one, we're still checking the notices, but to the extent notices were made, they'll be acceptable and the meeting will be carried without additional notices to August 2nd. I believe they were also supposed to provide a drawing with the fence and the fence design as to location of the proposed fence and the style and design of a fence, and that they wanted to get that approved. I have not seen that yet, and I don't think it's been filed yet. Dory would know for sure, but if they do want that included, they probably won't make it for August 2nd because we won't have it at least 10 days before the meeting, and we need Dave Simmons to review it. So maybe we will, but there's a chance that that meeting will not go forward on that case, okay? But for now, it's being carried without additional notices to August 2nd. The sign site plan we do have and is before you, but the idea of a fence never put on a plan.
And for clarification, we have not received a revised site plan, including the fence. In speaking with Mr. Gray this morning, it is my understanding that they're not certain if they want to pursue the fence right now. So if they do not pursue the fence, we should be okay, correct, Tom?
Yes, if they do not pursue the fence.
Okay, great. As far as resolutions go, let's begin with Sussex County Technical School. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Actually, as a housekeeping item, just until Dory gets used to who we are, if we're going to make a motion, or second, if you wouldn't mind saying your name before the motion.
All right, motion, Ernie Reichstad.
Thank you.
I'll second it. Jeanette Burke.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Dean Blumetti.
Yes.
Jeanette Burke.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Ronday.
Yes.
Justin Canellis.
Yes.
Bill Enright.
Yes.
Angela Cassie.
Yes.
Ernest Reichstad.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, our second resolution, Sparta High.
Do we need to read that into the record?
No, you just need a motion to approve the resolution. So,
But you have to reference
yeah, you reference it, but you don't have to read it into the record. You don't even have to read the entire title, as long as you're clear that all these have been online, and as long as you're just clear that you're approving the capital improvement plan, in this case for the high school and the middle school.
Yeah, just to clarify, I was being a little bit lax on that because it was a capital improvement plan as opposed to an actual application. And and we are moving on to Sparta High School. May I have a motion?
So motioned?
So that's Ronde. Okay.
I'll second it. Jeanette Burke.
Like to open up a discussion on this one again. So for the Sparta High School and Middle School capital improvement plans, two questions. The applicant first was committed to the proper recycling of the equipment at the end of life. So I assume that would mean using best practices at such future date. I didn't see that in the resolution. Don't know if we can add that at this
You
point.
could add it. Remember, these are not conditions, they're recommendations, though. So 4 could be the applicant will use best practices to recycle or reuse the solar equipment at the end of its useful life. So that, is there a motion with that, Mr. Blumetti? Do you move it with that?
Yeah, I'd like to make I have another question,
Oh,
if I should
okay.
combine them or not.
You can go ahead. Go ahead.
And the other one is the applicant had committed to providing the planning board and the Board of Ed with a letter stating the country of manufacture for the solar equipment.
Oh, that's in item number 3 of the resolution.
Yeah, I don't know, my question is, has that been received?
Oh, not that I know of. But I don't necessarily get, they have to get this resolution to be able to do
Okay,
what
that
you
comes
said.
afterwards?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
usually like, but we'll send them the resolution and that reminds them to do it.
Okay,
so-
okay. In that case, then I make the motion to modify the motion on the floor to include the previous statement about the best practices for recycling.
Ronde, I second.
Councilman Dean Blumetti,
Yes.
Jeanette Burke,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Ronde,
Yes?
Bill Enright,
Yes.
Angela Cassie,
Yes.
Chairwoman Celeste Luciano,
Yes.
Ernest Ragsdale.
Yes.
Now, was that an approval of the inclusion of the
Yes.
clause? Now we have to approve, okay.
Right. No, that's the whole
That's the
resolution
whole-
as revised, right?
Okay, as revised, okay.
So Dory, you took down what I said, right, about number 4?
I did.
Yes, okay, good, so we'll add that. And then next is a, well, moving party can do the next if they want to.
So we're moving on to Planning Board number 706, Delmar Woodport Road, 200 and 210 Woodport Road, Block 2014, lots 7 and 8, amended site plan. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. Ernest Ragsdale.
I'll second it. Angela Cassie.
Thank you. Councilman Dean Blumetti,
Yes.
Jeanette Burke,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Ronde,
Yes?
Bill Enright,
Yes.
Angela Cassie,
Yes.
Chairwoman Celeste Luciano,
Yes.
Ernest Ragsdale.
Yes.
Okay, last resolution for this evening, Planning Board application number 705, 370 Lafayette JV LLC, 370 and 376 Lafayette Road, block number 11002, lots 10, 11, and 12, amended preliminary and final site plan. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. Ernest Ragsdale.
I'll second it. Jeanette Burke.
Councilman Dean Blumetti,
Yes.
Jeanette Burke,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Ronde,
Yes?
Bill Enright,
Yes.
Justin Canales,
Yes.
Angela Cassie,
Yes.
Chairwoman Celeste Luciano,
Yes.
Ernest Ragsdale,
Yes.
Mike Sylvester.
Yes.
Okay. As previously mentioned, PB application is going to be carried until August 2nd. So we'll move on to our updates. Councilman Blumetti?
Oh, I'm sorry, Madam Chairman. I
Oh,
did
I'm
want
sorry.
to, address one thing to you, which I think Dory put in an amended agenda. We received deeds of minor subdivision from Pope John Foundation on July 12th. they're past their 190 days for recording deeds of minor subdivision, and so they need a reapproval of their minor subdivision. You could wait till another date, but we could also do it tonight if you're comfortable with it. What it was the Pope John Foundation helps Pope John with its land and with its resources. They apparently own the land that is the softball field and the tennis courts across the street from the high school. So in October of last year, the neighbor, and they had obtained that land, first by lease and I think by purchase from, or by donation from the Bennett Farm family that owns the hundreds or so of acres adjacent to the softball fields and the tennis courts. But apparently they encroached upon the land of the Bennetts when they built the softball field and the tennis courts, and no one really objected, but they're over the line. So they've now made an arrangement to acquire 5+ acres from the Bennett Farm to make sure that their softball field and their tennis courts are on Pope John's Foundation property. In my opinion, it's all good. All I'm suggesting that you do is make a motion to reapprove it so that they can record their deeds of minor subdivision to let the Bennett family transfer 5 acres to the Pope John Foundation. If you wanted to wait, we could wait. A reapproval is common in minor subdivisions where you have to record them within 190 days. I think they tried, but I don't think they got it all together. They certainly didn't communicate with me that they had their deeds ready. So if you were to approve this, it would be a motion to reapprove the previously approved minor subdivision of the Pope John Foundation. If you,
Subject to that final prerequisite, right?
that's right, they must prepare, as always. It would be effective tonight, but they'd have 190 days from tonight to record their deeds of minor subdivision. So it's basically just a reapproval of what has already been approved, and it allows them to implement their approval. And I think it's good here because I think basically they get along with one another. There wasn't a property dispute. It probably was something that oversight, and now they'll.
Something we need to read into the agenda right now? Since it's-
Yeah, if you were to, no, it's a regular meeting, so you're allowed to do it. We'd actually put it on an amended agenda, I think, didn't we, Dory, or something
we
like
did.
that? But if you didn't want to do it tonight, we don't have to. I think it makes sense to do it because I'd like to get this moving and recorded. There were 2 attorneys involved too, so I think it was just some uncertainty going on about who's doing what. So if you're comfortable, it's a motion to, and I'll put this in the record, Dory, just write in the resolution that it's a resolution of the Planning Board of the Township of Sparta reapproving the minor subdivision application of the Pope John Foundation effective July 19th, 2023.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Part of the resolution stated that Mr. Dykstra explained that the county planning board will not assert jurisdiction with respect to the minor subdivision and will send a letter confirming the same. The applicant will provide a copy of that letter to the planning board. Do we know if that's occurred yet?
I think it has, but Dory, you'd have to look in the file. That's a requirement, even if, it's still a requirement, and that's something they have to do in order to record the deeds of minor subdivision too. So it will be self-implementing.
Yeah. Do we need to do anything at this point before we reapprove it?
No, you can, it'll still be a continuing condition, but I believe they did get that letter.
Okay.
But I don't, I'm not the staff. The staff checks for the compliance with the conditions, so Dory will check.
I will go through the file and make sure.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
That little piece by the fields there. I looked at the map.
Comes down. Jack and,
So is there a motion to
Is there a
reapprove?
motion?
basically, as wide as a drive.
I'll make a motion to approve.
The rest of it's all in the woods.
I'll second it. Jeanette Burke?
So Mike Sylvester, first motion, Jeanette Burke, second motion.
Thank you. Councilman Dean Blumetti,
Yes.
Jeanette Burke,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Ron Day,
Yes.
Bill Enright,
Yes.
Justin Canellis,
Yes.
Angela Cassie,
Yes.
Chairwoman Celeste Luciano,
Yes.
Ernest Reichstad,
Yes.
Mike Sylvester.
Thank you.
Okay. So now, it appears we can move on to any updates from Town Council and Environmental Commission. Actually, those both come from you this evening.
Yeah,
Councilman
okay.
Moretti.
Yep, I could do both. So first, Town Council, this covers the last two meetings, just because of timing of when we last met. So a couple quick updates that I thought were relevant for the planning board. The, obvious to many of you, the PCED zone recommendation of the ordinance was covered last meeting. It was, the introduction was passed, and so the next step now, after it is confirmed to be consistent with the master plan, would be the hearing at the town council. Second, we had a lively debate regarding the township's historical and recent use of open space funds, and how potentially they're disproportionately being used, or to a large extent historically been used, for athletic fields. Not that that's a fact, that was, there was some back and forth on that. Prescribed in the ordinance, there are 4 uses for open space funds: open space land acquisition, farmland preservation, historic preservation, and recreational facilities, slash fields. So there was a lively debate on that. I'll just leave it at that, about the past and future use of open space funds and what's best for the township. Third, there was a sanitary sewer feasibility study that was conducted. I'm not certain if it was in 2022 or if it began before that. There is a report apparently created by the vendor, the contractor, and for a long time, it's been said to have been in draft form, and then sort of fell off the radar for a while. After a number of rounds of asking for that and questioning it, the township was able to locate the draft. I don't believe it was here in the building. I'm not implying anything in terms of our employees. And now it's acquired, and it's being reviewed by our township engineer, and it's going to be shared then with the council and the public about the feasibility study results for that. It was mostly the area, I believe, out by the economic development zone, and PCD out by the aquifer, I believe. So more to come on that. Last night, as many of you know or have seen, the Highlands Council was here to present. It was a joint session, and if you hadn't seen it, you probably would find it valuable. It's available to watch the recording. The presentation itself was on the shorter side, but I think the Q&A and the discussion from the public and from some of you and some of the other folks there was really, really interesting. And then just last, you'll hear more about this too. The council was working on a draft food truck ordinance. So there's a first draft that was proposed, and there was some discussion around that, and we're going to be fine-tuning that to have some clarity around food truck operations throughout town. Shifting gears briefly, Environmental Commission, I'll just share 1 or 2 items. One is the Environmental Commission has been talking about to start an open space committee and to move forward and potentially create an open space plan with the understanding and assumption that it would include multiple stakeholders, including people on the planning board, the public, et cetera, with the goal of that eventually feeding into the master plan. The current open space plan is quite old. I may be mistaken, but it hasn't 20 years, 15 to 20 years. Also, there's going to be a speaker at the August 10th Environmental Commission meeting right here, talking about open space plans. So she is from the Land Conservancy of New Jersey. I might be mixing up the sequence there. And they've done lots of open space plans for different municipalities, for different counties. And she's going to be here just speaking about what it takes to create an open space plan and a little bit about the mechanics around that. So feel free to come. I believe that the Environmental Commission will formally invite the other boards and the council and et cetera to attend, as the council did last night with the other meeting for the Highlands Council. And then finally, the Environmental Commission, I believe the planning board might have gotten a copy of this correspondence as well. There was a application made to the NJDEP for property located at 114 Demarest Road. It's about 13 acres. And it was notification that it was a request for DEP to do a letter of interpretation, property line and different line delineations. It's currently undeveloped land. So the Environmental Commission discussed that and, per the correspondence, invited to respond. So I believe the plan is that the commission will send a preliminary just response about the property and the value of the property back to NJT DEP. So more to come on that too, I guess. And that concludes my reports.
Question regarding that correspondence. Is that something that can go straight from the EC but back to the DEP, or is that something that has to go through council before it goes to?
No, it can go straight back.
It can go
Yeah,
straight.
yep.
Are there funds available to purchase and acquire open space? Is the state still offering funds for municipalities and non-for-profits to purchase?
There could be some funds. We asked that question last night specifically of the Highlands Council. And right now, they don't have funds. They had funds, and they're planning to get more funds. I don't know if it's 100%. It might be a 50/50.
Non-for-profits can fund it though, right?
Yep, yeah, as well. Yeah, I think there's lots of different mechanisms for, yeah.
Okay.
Are there plans to develop more athletic fields or facilities?
Not that I've heard of this time. The White Lake Field, this conversation evolved out of the White Lake Field complex that's being built because of a second cost overrun came in a significant amount. So there's been 2 additional charges that have come in that were above and beyond the bid and what was approved originally for that field. So we're talking triple digits in terms of both together. So and the plan originally, I guess, when that was approved, was to use $300,000 from open space funds to pay for part of that project. And it just happened to be now the timing, the next bill came in from the contractor and also the request for the extra fees. And this is a time when it was also coming out of open space funds, so everything was a perfect storm. Yeah.
So is town council trying to balance the uses instead of having one so heavily on recreational, whatever category, trying to balance them out a little bit? What was the conversation on?
There was no consensus.
Okay.
Yeah, there was no consensus. Yeah.
It has its place. It definitely has its
Yeah,
place.
yeah.
As long as there's funding.
Right,
Right.
yeah. And we collect about $330,000 a year, I guess, out of taxes for open space funds.
Right.
So it's figuring out how do we use that, and do we want to put it together with other grants and other funds to purchase land? Do we want to use it for farm preservation or
That
other
doesn't
uses?
affect our plan. We don't have to modify our plan, Tom, like if we have a.
Well, no,
certain amount of
it is good.
recreation.
It is good to have an updated open space plan, because what that does, it's called an open space and conservation plan. It's a function really of the governing body, but it would have input from the Environmental Commission and from the Planning Board. But by doing that, you can designate properties that you'd like to purchase, and you can increase your likelihood of getting what's called a plan implementation grant. They're never perfect, but they're helpful to, again, like have it on the shelf that you'd like to get this property and buy it with open space funds, not necessarily your own, although sometimes you have to match grants, but more Green Acres grants and other state and federal agencies for grants by having a plan that says, this one we'd like, these 10 we'd like to get. And here's the information, like a detailed summary of each of the mapping, ownership information or whatever. That really helps increase your likelihood of getting plan implementation grants from the state of New Jersey. But again, this is more of the governing body because they're the only body that buys the land.
One quick question. You had mentioned part of open space historic locations and sites. So would that be, you would purchase those with the open space funds or you would renovate that? How does that work?
That's one of the 4 designations.
Right.
Yeah, farmland preservation, historic preservation, open space. And so I don't know exactly how it would work if you're purchasing property that has an historic value to it, I assume. I don't know if we've done that in the past. Yeah, but that's one of the, in our ordinance, that's one of the 4 stipulations that it could be used for.
And just a note, you could, if we're looking to acquire some land for open space, but the environmental needs to be, like, go through a due diligence, they need a RAO or sign off on it ahead of time. You could obtain HDSRF funds to orchestrate or like bridge the environmental into accessing those, underwrite those additional funds. And they could count as matching funds.
Ah, okay,
So
yeah,
I've done a number of them. so-
okay, yeah, yeah.
Just remember, anything, when you get from the state, comes with strings.
Yes,
You remember that.
especially Green Acres.
Green Acres has a lot of strings to it.
Green Acres funding usually has a requirement that you put that open space and any other open space that you have on an inventory that they then register and say that if you divert it, it requires State House Commission approval. So the inventory of open space, and I don't think Sparta has a lot of property inventoried on the inventory of open space, but that's not my role. So, but if it did, let's say you wanted to do something to sort of sell part of a property or to maybe improve it for municipal facility of some kind, they might say that's a diversion, and almost always whenever you try to sell it, they say that is a diversion, and the diversion shall be approved by the State House Commission, which is a really archaic and unusual body, which basically meets once a year and can say no to any diversion, and usually do, and then they say, we'll let you divert it if you buy 7 times that amount of acreage towards the same purpose of open space. And I'm not trying to say don't do it. I'm saying be aware that Green Acres includes this attachment to inventory your open space.
Okay. Updates from subcommittees.
Okay, relative to the ordinance subcommittee, so as Councilmember Blumetti mentioned, we did get through, we were passed through the first hearing. Chairwoman Luciano tonight is going to lead us through the next step, which would be confirming consistency with the master plan, and then once that's done, then we can put a date on the calendar with the town council for the second hearing, which hopefully will be the time when they vote to approve or not the ordinance as proposed. So more to come on that. Also, relative to the other 3 zones, which were the economic zone, PDRM1, PDRM2, we did kick those off a few weeks ago, and we continue to have some discussions on those zones. So we're moving forward with those, and we'll certainly take into advice anything, maybe with some lessons learned from the PCED zone, but we're moving forward either way right now. Relative to the minor site waiver plan committee. So since we met last time, we've received another 6 applications. We're up to a total of 33 year-to-date. Of the 6 that we received, we're going to refer 2 of them back to the planning board. One will be for a intravenous spa therapy, and the other will be for a restaurant. So you'll be hearing more on those. And the other, the ones that are remaining are things that I think we can handle within the minor site plan subcommittee. And that's it.
Okay. We haven't seen any minutes for minor site plan. Do we know if there's anything out there that eventually at some point is going to need to be approved?
So what we do keep a log. I think that's what I've seen from the past, but there's no formal, like, written minutes. We could actually.
Oh, yeah, you don't have to keep minutes of the meetings, but what we do have to do is take those logs of what action was taken, and Dory puts them on the minutes of a planning board meeting. That's probably what the chair lady's thinking about. And we can, there's no deadline for that, but we should, if there's been about 33, or if
Yeah.
maybe it's 20,
Right,
27.
We're halfway through the year, so
let's
we
put those on
probably
the
should start
minutes of
thinking
the
about-
next meeting, right, if we
That's
can.
easy to do, so we'll have it for the.
There's
for
a
the
list
meeting.
of.
Yeah, we keep it, so it's very easy to do.
Will do.
Okay.
Okay.
And Dory, I think you've got probably a list that you have, and I keep a list, so we'll just compare the two together. I think we've been keeping them in sync all along, so.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Good catch.
And now, moving on to ordinance 23-15, Planned Commercial Economic Development Zone, PCD. So I believe there needs to be a motion on the table for master plan consistency review.
So yes, if the board would entertain it, it's a motion to find that the ordinance proposed by the planning board is not inconsistent with the planning board and to authorize and direct Dory, our secretary, to communicate that to the township clerk by email as soon as possible. Is there such a motion?
I'll make a motion. Ernest Ragsdale.
I'll second it. Jeanette Burke?
Councilman Dean Blumetti,
Yes.
Jeanette Burke,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Ron Day,
Yes.
Bill Enright,
Yes.
Justin Canellis.
Yes.
Angela Cassie,
Yes.
Chairwoman Celeste Luciano.
Yes.
Ernest Ragsdale,
Yes.
and Mike Sylvester.
Yes.
And I will take care of that tomorrow. I'll get that over.
Thank you, Dory.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other board business? Anything else that the board would like to discuss?
My apologies for missing last meeting. I heard it was a long one again. Did we ever go out for RFQ for professional services?
We're actually in the process of pulling together the RFQ at this point. Hopefully, we'll be done with the actual RFQ by the end of this week. We'll have more information probably by
That's
Monday.
what I'll hit sometime in August, September,
I want to say next week, yeah,
because we're planning by the end of the year, right?
right.
All right,
So
great.
likelihood is next week.
Yeah, the draft, we had a long conference call on Monday with the attorney and with our consultant, and we have a somewhat final draft now back today from the attorney. We just need to
Right.
review it in the next couple days, and it's, our plan is to actually get it out next week, yeah.
Yeah, I gave them my responses for my review, so
Yeah.
now it's just got to go through the next round.
So,
I don't
yeah.
know if it was appropriate to ask. I was just
No,
curious.
it's
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
perfectly
Check all-
appropriate.
All the open items, you know.
It's appropriate to ask. I mean, we're well aware of the process. I think everybody
Yeah.
here is.
Great.
Yeah, we'll be working with Mr. Levinson through the next 4 weeks. And
Right.
that'll end his contract. with
Through
us.
mid-August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. And any update on our website as far as keeping whatever structure we have updated, like with all of us and kind of the current information, or is it still under?
You mean the township website, the planning
Yeah.
board section of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly which aspects of it? The website is still, it was replaced
It's
a while
functional,
ago.
'cause
Yeah.
We get the minutes and
Yeah.
all that, but is the information accurate up on it with all the new members and?
I haven't looked lately myself. I have no reason to doubt it hasn't been updated, but
I believe it has been
is.
updated
Yeah.
because I
Alright, great.
got the information
That's
off
all.
Okay.
of the
Oh,
website
yeah,
of all the
okay.
board members.
yeah, I believe it has. Although the website, the bigger pictures website, it's still in its early it still has some tweaking to
Everyone
do.
wants to build
Yeah.
a dream called.
Yeah,
Rome.
yeah.
I think we're okay. Everything
good?
else, you know what, that's.
Yeah. No, generally it's in good shape, and I know the staff is working hard on it, but it was just a big undertaking, so I think there's
Terrific.
a little more
Thank you.
tweaking to do, but it's in pretty good shape. Yeah.
I think the areas where we're still severely lacking are making sure that ordinances are up to date and but basics, the calendar's up to date, the minutes, actually our minutes, what we have available are out there. I know we still have to catch up on the rest of what we're doing. But, the links to be able to view the live streams, that sort of thing, all of that should all be there.
Terrific.
And if it's not, I will double check and I will let Dory know what we need and she will let Mike Dempsey know what we need. And we'll run that up the chain and make sure that, all of our i's are dotted and t's are crossed.
Perfect.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, one favor, if I could, so relative to the second hearing, once that's scheduled, if someone could let me know so I can let the folks on the subcommittee know as well. I think they're tired of getting emails from me every day with a different date, and here's what I think it's going to be, so. And I think it's important so we can get the professionals lined up as well. We can, I think one of them may not be available on the 8th, but we'll double check everything.
Okay.
And under normal circumstances, we would open the floor to the public, which we will do in perpetuity, since there is no one here from the public. We can move on, seeing as though there is also no executive session. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion. Ernest Reichstad.
Everybody remembered their name there.
Angela Cassy, second.
And the next meeting is?
And the next meeting is, as it stands
Second.
right now, August 2nd.